So that concludes basically our tour of the query file. So we just went through all of these, right? So the next file I would like to look at is the mutations file. Okay, let me open that file. So basically, in the GraphQL world, a mutation is how you create things, right? So you mutate to create, right? So a mutation is a new thing. So basically that's at least in the GraphQL world, that's how that's what they call creating. When you mutate, you're creating. Okay? So you get to define a set of mutations just like you define a set of queries, right? So here we have a query file, here we have a mutation file. In the query file, you ask to be given things or list of things. In the mutation file, you ask for things to be created for you, right? So in this context, I have a mutation called create user, right? So if I want to create new users, so let's say a user wants to sign up to the site, just like you would sign up at any one of your popular websites. You create your account, you enter your password, your email. That's a mutation, right? So in our context, we have one mutation we created so far. The mutation is to create a new user, right? So we're using graphene. So our mutation is a subclass of the graphene mutation class. Okay? And what we're saying here is it's a mutation of a specific type. And the type is a user type, right? So we're saying this is the argument you pass to the mutation. If you want to mutate, you need to provide a username, you need to provide a password, you need to provide an email, and then we'll take those parameters and create a user for you. Okay? So that's what a mutation is in the GraphQL context. Okay? So now that we've gone through that file, so we have a mutation create user as our mutation, and basically in the GraphQL context, you define a class that is an umbrella for your mutation. So in my case here, I have create user, I have auth token, so this creates the user. This is to get a token for the user. This is to verify the token, and this is just to refresh the token, right? So we only have a specific set of mutation right now related to user creation, user login, and specifically it's talking about the token of the user. So if basically the way you when a user login, you get a token for that user, and every subsequent call the user make on the API, that token is passed as a way to say, yes, I am who I say I am. Okay? So that's basically what mutation is in the GraphQL context. But to wrap it all together, right, you have to have what's called a schema file, right? So in the GraphQL context, that's what this file here is. So let's talk about so we just concluded talking about the mutation here. Let's talk about the schema file here. So this schema file right? What this schema file does, it brings together all the pieces for the API and it basically defines the API, right? So if you notice, our schema is a subclass of the graphene schema library, right? And what it does, it says I have a query class, right? And this query is the query from here, and a schema file from, a mutation file from here, right? It's saying, I am a schema, I am the API. That's what it said, right? I am made of a query class and a mutation class, right? So what the schema does, it says I can support queries and I can support mutations. Okay? So that's how you define an API in Django for GraphQL. Okay? So we've gone through that. But just to wrap it up, let's go into the Jannah GraphQL file folder. I want to talk a little bit about, the settings file. So Django comes with a settings file. It's a Python file. It's basically where you set configuration for Django. So our setting file looks like this, as you can see on the screen here. And what it does, it defines some variables that Django needs at runtime. So when Django starts to run, these are the setting files that basically tell Django how to behave, right? So once Django starts, Django goes, okay, who am I? What am I about? What am I doing? And the settings file is basically where you provide, you're giving configuration information into the Django application as far as like how to behave at runtime, right? And there are many variables here, right? So at the top of this, of course, you're importing OS, right? OS is operating system, right? So this is basically your Django's hook into the operating system, right? It's how Django talks to the operating system, right? It imports pathlib. This is so Django knows where it's sitting in the operating system, right? If what directory Django is in, right? It imports Django database URL. This is how Django is able to talk to a database, right? So this base directory here, it's base dir. Dir is usually a directory in computer science, okay? If you see dir like that, dir, that means directory, okay? So it's telling basically, it's saying, where am I? What directory am I running in, okay? What directory is my media files? So media files are basically, pictures, any image file, any CSS file, basically files that are not code. Okay, let's say, what is my user auth model, right? What model define what kind of users I can have. So that's why we specify it here. We're telling it it's on the Jannah site and it's user. We're basically telling it to look here. Jannah site. Right, so we're telling it this is the user to use, right? So, and then, you need a secret key. This is a demo secret key.